Welcome to Pro Bull Talk, where it's all talk and no bull. Get ready to slide and ride.
All right, let's go, boys. Hustle. Come on now. Let's go. Woo. Lay down now. Go.
This episode is brought to you by Sutherland Logistics.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pro Bull Talk. I'm Cody Hart. Brandon Wren to the right. We've got Blake Skaggs and Briar Hart. Today is a good episode. I've been wanting to get this guy on for quite a little bit. Wes Ward. He was a former professional bareback rider in his younger days. His dad, JC, had Ward Rodeo Company, and now he's pro rodeo and announcing. So, Wes, hey, man, I am glad you're on. I'm glad we made connection, and I think the first time we talked about this, you was way up north announcing somewhere.
Yeah, I was actually on my way to Illinois, I think.
Yep, I think so, yeah. And you called to talk about the podcast, and shoot, we got to talking, and I was like, you know what, Wild West Ward would be a good guy to get on. And tell me, everybody's going to ask, I called you Wild West or West, but you've had that moniker for a while. How'd that come across?
Well, actually, the sticking part of it come from Donnie Gay. I think, being on Steve Rodeo a lot.
Yeah.
And he always called me Wild West on there. See, back in those days, there wasn't much on TV for rodeo goes. Mesquite Rodeo, and then a couple years before that, they had those rodeo games, and I happened to be on both of them, so I was kind of popular there for a little while, I guess. I knew something was wrong with the system whenever me and Marvin Garrett was at Saxon, Missouri one year, and he was current world champion. And some kids come up there and got my autograph, and they didn't even know who he was.
That made you feel real good, though.
That's truth, though. I mean, Mesquite and the rodeo games, I remember Cross Whiskers, and those were about the only two things that was on TV back in those days.
Yeah.
Rodeo's come a long way since then.
Yeah. Now, before you got to riding broncs, you grew up in the rodeo family and with JC, your dad JC, and brothers and stuff, and had a rodeo company and stuff. How did is that how you kind of got started into bareback riding, or why did you pick bareback riding?
I rode bulls first.
Okay.
Donnie Gay was my idol, to be honest with you, and then just kind of started hearing my dad talk about the bareback riding and stuff, and I got on my very first bareback horse in 1976, and that was at Stigler, Oklahoma. Got on a little black horse. My dad's was Hart Mustang, and there's a lot of money won on her. Her number was 81. Called her Little Mexico, and boy, she had just kind of dive and just straight down the pin. But she wasn't very strong, but she was good. That was my very first bareback horse, and that was 76, and I got on my last one in 2000.
Ain't that? And I bet you remember the last horse's name too, if it had a name.
Well, no. Well, I tell you what, it was at a Longhorn World Championship Rodeo.
We was just talking about that a while ago, Brandon. The Longhorn.
Yes, we was. The Longhorns.
Yeah.
It was in Little Rock.
Yeah.
And, I had kind of started, already on the backside of my career, and I was already putting on my own rodeo, the Wild West Championship Rodeo.
Yeah,
and
I remember that. It's
just kind of like riding was kind of becoming second anymore.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I had been battling this shoulder injury for a long time. Neil Gay had a horse at a Mesquite Rodeo. Called him Done Gone, NFR bucking horse, and I'd ridden him before. And that came out Mesquite one time. I don't know what happened. That sucker threw me off by the third jump. And whenever it did, it pulled my rotator cuff.
Yeah.
And there for a while, I was getting what they call them stingers in your neck.
Yep.
And they just had to come get me out of the arena. And whenever that stinger go down my neck, it felt like that electricity. Well, it just shut my shoulder plumb down. I couldn't raise it up or anything.
Wow.
So it was always hurt, but it was my free arm. And Wendell Ratchford was running Longhorn rodeo. and somebody had been hauling a team roping horse. He was a gray horse, and he was gonna, knock the buck out of him, but the sucker kept bucking and bucking it, and so they just kept holding him. And I had him, and he went straight down the pin at Little Rock. I actually placed on him, but what happened was, it whipped my free arm back and tore it even more, and so I had to go get it operated on then. And I didn't have no intentions of quitting, but I never got on another.
Yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny because we get a lot of guys on here, former riders and of whatever event they maybe have done, but they can recall all the way back to the very first one they got on. And I could probably ask you, if, like you said, you'd went to Sykeston before, you could probably tell me what horse you had there and if you rode him or had however many points. I think it's crazy that because I can remember my first calf. I can remember my last bull. I can remember the first bull I got on the PBR final. I can remember just about anything out there. And my wife gives me hell all the time. She goes, well, you can remember what you got on 20-something years ago, but you can't remember to take the dadgum trash out, every day. So it's kind of crazy that Cowboys are that way. I guess that's a selective memory, I guess.
I don't know, Brandon Wren, do you have this problem? I mean, even though I'm at a rodeo, I know the personnel real well. I have to write their names down.
Yep, I still have to write them down. I have to write them down as well.
Sometimes I go to look at it to introduce them, and it might not be there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's like I had my timekeeper, I know her well, was trying to call her. I'm like, what is her name? I had to go through my phone.
I do the same thing. I think it's because we all names, everything all night long. We got to be on top of our game, and I've looked over the secretary. I've announced rodeos with her, I don't know, 200 times, in the last couple of years. Look at her and, it's Rhonda, or it's, this one or that one. And I got to write them down. I got to write them down or I'll forget.
I'm not sure if that's selective memory or not, if that's just you two
getting
guys
old.
getting old.
That's
well, that could be that some too.
Especially Brandon.
A little.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I'll be trying to think of somebody's name, and I'm like, come on, Lord, give it to me, or whatever it is. It'll come to me a little bit. But I mean, if I'm up there announcing, I got to take my time and make sure I've got all my notes written down, pickup man, and all that kind of stuff, because whenever you go to introduce somebody and it ain't there and you don't know what it is, it's not a good moment.
No, for sure. Well, you rode bulls, you said, and you bareback rode a little bit. What made you? I mean, some of the first announcers I ever heard when I come onto the scene as a junior bull rider and kind of getting on some stuff was your dad, JC. And that was some of the first, in person announcers I got to hear. When did you make the transition? And go, you know what? I think I want to pick up a microphone and talk for a living.
Well, I had no intentions to be a rodeo announcer, none whatsoever. I was actually producing my own rodeos, and I was at Sherman, Denison, Texas rodeo. I had that rodeo, and the announcer I had, y'all both probably know him real well. His name is Dusty Brock.
I do.
He got a lot of talent, but Dusty wasn't hauling no sound no more, but we was renting sound. So the sound was going to be there anyway. And the sound guy goes, who's announcing Sherman? And I said, Dusty. He said, no, he's going to Seymour. And I saw him a couple weeks before that. Said, I'll see you at Sherman. But somehow or another, we got the wires crossed. And I had called a few other announcers. I was pretty particular about, how I wanted my things done and all that certain things and openings and stuff. And I called a couple guys that I thought would be right in line with the way I wanted it done. I didn't have them in the budget. So that's when I picked the microphone up right there.
Just out of necessity.
Yep. Accident.
I mean,
had to do it.
The sound was there.
Meant to be.
That's where it started.
Yeah.
But I've had several people tell me, said, your daddy. Well, Gerald Smith is one of them. Down here in Bogota, Texas. Your daddy, if he focused on being an announcer, he could have went to the top because he had a whole lot better voice than I had and everything. And a lot of people don't know this, and I didn't know it till a couple of years before Dad passed away. y'all know who Joe Simon is. He is Joe Simon, like the biggest horse trader in America. Well, back in the early days, there was a guy named Owens who was out of Missouri, and he was like Simon is today. As a matter of fact, Joe Simon's dad was a pallbearer at Owens' funeral. Well, Owens was also putting on rodeos, and he put on some PRCA rodeos. Mm-hmm. My dad was announcing for him, and he wanted my dad to be his announcer at this PRCA rodeo, and he turned it down.
Oh, wow.
I said, Dad, why'd you turn it down? He said, well, I had my own string of stock, and I want to do what I want to do my thing. You know? And Dad also was approved by the PRCA whenever I was a kid. Had to bring in 5 rodeos, elected not to do it. If he would have went back then, we would be right there with Barnes Rodeo Company as oldest rodeo company.
Right.
See, next year it'll be 75 years.
Yep, 75 years.
Well, I can tell you about 30 years ago, I was entered in Blue Ridge, Texas, and I was probably 50. I think I was.
You had the cat, didn't you?
Yeah. I had. I was like 15, and that was the first rodeo, CWRA rodeo I'd ever went to by myself. Because I traveled with JW, and then he had went somewhere else, or my mom and dad would take me or something, and they finally turned me loose. I had my permit and my driving permit, and took off Blue Ridge, Texas, and get down there, and I've got the bounty bull, man. And I'll never forget it. It was held towards the end. And what's that?
Because I said it was a big matchup. Everybody's talking about this kid from Oklahoma, Cody Hart. He's a bull riding dude now. He's got Scat Cat, and I mean, Scat is one of them bulls that you wanted, but you didn't. If you stuck your toe, he gonna buck you off. But
I remember riding him, and the lights going out. The lights went out at the arena, and then the lights came back on. I was still riding him, and the lights went out, and then they come back on, and I stepped off because I got scared. And the daggum judges said I slapped him, and I was like, I'll be doggone. Are you kidding me? I said, how could y'all see? I didn't slap him. And because he went a couple and was turned back and just stayed. He stayed in it once he went. And, they said I slapped him. That was the bounty bull.
And it wasn't he a little bit there, Cody?
What's that?
That talk like you guys talk like it. Whenever he was spinning, he'd spinning so fast. And, we've got him on tape there where he made 16 rounds in 8 seconds.
I don't doubt it, yeah. I mean, I know we was going fast.
But they claim he's going so fast that, Mike Erickson, he told me, he said it felt like you'd stuck in your eyeballs there.
Yeah.
And he kind of back up in it a little bit, too.
Yeah, he did he had some backup to him.
But you take that Scat Cat bull and you go over through the years, you fast forward. I mean, Cody's just a little bit older than me, not much, but you fast forward a few years into my era.
Thanks for bringing that up.
I said a little bit. But you get to my era, that cat bloodline was still there. I mean, you come into the late 90s, early 2000s, there was Pole Cat and this cat and
Arctic
that cat. Arctic Cat, and they all went back to the great Scat Cat. And even on our Hooter, and even our level, our age group of guys come in there. I mean, that's where I got my start. I'd been on like 5 or 6 little steers at a practice pen, and the first rodeo I ever entered in my life, Ward Rodeo Company, J.C. Ward. It was down there at the ranch. It was at the house.
You know how them cat bulls all got started, don't you?
No, sir.
Or do you?
No, sir.
No.
I'm gonna tell you. My mom is from Louisiana, and my dad used to go down there and buy roping cages, and he'd buy them little. Back years ago, that's what they roped was Bremer tie down cages or Bremer cross cage. Well, Dad would always go down and for 3 or 4 years already, he bought a set of roping cages. Well, one of the old bulls Dad really loved, and he was a bucking dude, was a bull called Tiger. He was actually a Louisiana roping cat. Polecat was a Louisiana roping cat. And, that's where they come from. But whenever Polecat died, he was the original one that we started with. He was 18 years old.
Wow.
And Dad had kept some of those heifer calves as cows, and has just white Brahmas and we put polecat on them, and that's how we got our first set of cat bulls. And it was about 6, I believe, that first year. And then all of them bulls. Well, there was 2 heifers, I think, but there's like 6 bulls, and they all buck, and they. What I like about them is that cat blood's, I mean, it's got heart too. Yeah. And I've seen Scat Cat get aired plumb out one time up there at the half water, and it didn't hurt him. He didn't slow down. I mean, he just kept bucking. Yeah. And they was kind of little there for a while, but they've got a little size to them now and everything. But it's kind of like anything else. After a while, it kind of seems like it starts getting deleted a little bit. But I had a bull one time. My daughter's mother, whenever she and I got married, she had some Timbrock out, and just a handful. And one of them showed more Brahma than Simmental. Yeah. And she was kind of standoffish and everything. And I told her, I said, if you would breed that cow right there to a bucking bull, she would probably raise you a bucking. Well, so I had this. I went to my daddy. I said, Dad, won't you let me borrow one of them good little Scat Cat cows down there? Big enough, old enough to breed, but not really good, but old enough to haul yet. Yeah. He said, son, that woman will divorce you and you'll have that cat blood scattered all over Texas.
Well, let's speaking of scattered all over, let's take a quick break for a minute and recognize some of our great sponsors real quick.
This episode is brought to you by Dennis Davis Bucking Bulls, Glory Ranch, Sutherland Logistics, Blake Skaggs Bucking Bulls, and Crenton Stitch Company.
All right, so just to clarify here real quick before we get Scat Cat blood scattered all over Texas, we're talking about your Ward Scat Cat, not 81 Scat Cat that Sammy hauled and was actually out of Hooter that went back to Charlie John Coffey's. This was quite a bit of time before that bull came around, 5 or 6 years probably.
Yeah, our Scat Cat was had some age on him whenever Charlie John's Scat Cat around. Yeah. But actually that 81 Scat Cat seen more country than our Scat Cat. Right. He just stayed right here in the circuitry. But
how do you think that bull would compare to some of the bulls today that you see?
Well, the breeding programs is, it's done well. It's done. It's really done too well.
Yeah, it's outgrown the bull riders.
Sure has, and it brought in a lot more different kind of people in the. They a lot of people on the bull.
They got a backyard. There's 2 standing in it.
But
take Blake for example.
I mean, here's my theory on it: is there's always been ranked bulls.
Absolutely.
But there's more of them.
There is absolutely more of them now.
And Scat Cat was never considered a double ranked bull, but he'd be in like what you had in the TV pen or something. Mm-hmm. And I think he's right in there same line with Wolfman around, and I mean, they won a lot of money on him when they rode him,
Yeah.
I mean, back then, they'd win rodeos when they rode him, 86, 87 points. Well, everybody says it's kind of like 10 points added on to
Oh, absolutely. Then. Yeah. It's done it for TV and ratings.
Yeah.
I think. So I've talked to a few old bull riders, and they say the same thing.
Most points I ever was 87 points, and I did it twice. Once in Pasadena in the short row, his big open rodeo then, and I had Gaddafi, who was a
Gaddafi
reigning bucking.
Yeah.
He was the reigning bucking horse of the year, and I had him at Casper, Wyoming, in the building there in the fall.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the season finale or something. They called that rodeo. I flew up there from Houston because I was at Liberty the night before, and I was I'm scared to death, really,
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd like to kind of tell them a little bit about hearing a little bit. Jack Weissman is the guy that taught me how to win. If you want to go in that story, we'll come back to
Yeah.
it. But I flew up there and I was nervous. Sure was.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a picture on him where he's looks like a jumping show horse. He's stretched out, but he's about 4 foot in the air, and you can actually see the judge underneath him on the other side. It's a pretty cool picture.
I like them old pictures.
I had a game plan, and it worked. And I'm telling you, he felt really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, that horse felt good. It could be a different trip too, but I mean, it went great. And I thought, man, I'm going to get me front page sports news. 87 points, win the rodeo. That was the same year that Ty Murray rode that spinning border town, the Flying Five,
Yeah.
at the Cowboys for 92 points. So he got front page, and I got a little bitty picture.
But back in that day, wasn't it like for the bareback riding? Wasn't it very hard to be 90? Like 87 was something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
87.
87 was something.
That was on the reigning bucking horse of the year.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was. But I mean, the breeding program in the horses is even. It's just amazing how good they are.
But and honestly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Wes, I think the breeding programs for the horses has been around longer than the breeding programs for the bulls, really. Because especially up north, with Calgary and Simon and Sankey and all them, I think they've been doing it for a long, long time, long before ABBI or anything like that come around for the bulls.
Well, see, truth be known, my daddy would probably be one of the oldest bull breeders there is, because he was raising bulls way before bull raising ever even got in anybody's mind. The reason he was raising them because he couldn't afford to buy them at the sale barn.
Yeah.
But what he would do is, Dad's always he worked hard and he had 12 kids, and he raised 4 and had to pay child support on the other 8. I told him one day, I said, I tip my hat to you because I never seen you working a job for anybody other than yourself.
Yeah.
And
wow. That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah.
But so we wasn't raised with a silver spoon or anything like that. And I mean it's just hard work, dedication, and
that's it.
So going back to your riding career, how far did you make it? Like, did you ever make the NFR or not make the NFR? Or?
Never did. That was whenever I didn't make the NFR, I finally realized that, I'm not actually, I got to change something up. And I did run at the finals 4 or 5 years. And, I went to every rodeo that the people that were going did it. I was like 17th one year. They got to go and I didn't.
Yeah.
And got to get a shot at that big, that's worth money.
How did that feel to go hard all year long and give it all and wind up 17th and it just basically just miss it, probably by just a few $100, I'm sure, and just
no, it's just, well, I tell you what, whenever I finally come to saying, hey, look, we need to change something up, and I've always worked and rode.
Yeah.
And I've had a fencing and welding business for almost 40 years, right at 40 years. And it got inspired through building the Lane Frost's working pins and
Yeah.
Will Wright arena there where you and JW coming down there at the school.
At
Wasn't it?
school one year. Yeah, I think it was 87 or 88 we went down there and rode an arena.
Lane
And
Adam.
then,
Yep.
and then they had a mini bull riding, I don't know, what, 8-9 years ago, something like that,
Yep.
that we
Wes
did.
was there.
Yeah, Blaine,
Yeah.
Briar, and both my two youngest boys, Briar and Blaine, rode there. I commentated. You announced, and I think you told me a story about that arena one time.
Oh, you talking to me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
About Lane welding the truck in the arena.
Oh, we worked our butt off back there, and it was just right there behind the squeeze tub.
Yeah.
And well, Lane had went and borrowed a welding truck off the neighbor down the road there. And I mean, we was just a bunch of well, we'd been out of school maybe a year or maybe two, but we were still pretty young, and boy, we'd try to get something done.
Yeah.
And we had worked our tail off all day and day long. And then here comes Clyde up there right before dark, and he's gonna feed his dogs and do the chores. He's got the damnedest look on his face. And Clyde goes, "How you gonna get the truck out?" We had welded all around that truck and built it, and there wasn't no gate. Had to cut some up down to get the truck on the outside of the feet. That's a true story to you.
Yeah.
Mercy.
Well, how did you meet Lane?
Well, you know that whenever I didn't know this at the time that I seen him, but whenever they come down from Utah, see Freckles Brown and Clyde rodeo together. Freckles is the one that found their place in Lane, Oklahoma, and they moved from Utah to Oklahoma just so Lane, I mean,
Be around
to be a
Freckles.
bull rider.
Yeah.
And you know it's close to Freckles, and I mean that was Lane's idol for Freckles Brown.
Yeah.
The first pair of shafts that I seen ride in was just kind of like Freckles
Yeah.
and all that. So, but whenever they come down there, had moved down there, we had a rodeo. We had a rodeo there at our house. It was like a Fourth of July or something back then. And Elsie had seen a poster in a toka, and she talked to my mom and said, "Want to know how rank our bulls was?" And you know, Dad's always had some,
Pretty good
mean,
ones.
you know, he's had some good ones throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
But I was about 15 then, and I was into the bull riding. And Mom, she told us, she said, "Well, my son's 15, and I think they're too ranked for him." Well, see, Lane was a year and a half younger than I was, but I remember seeing him. He was there at that rodeo behind the bucket chute, and the Frost family just come to watch the rodeo there. Lane got back there behind the chutes, and he was checking me out. And he later told me, he said, if he thought I could ride him, then he could.
He was sizing you up.
And I remember seeing him do it, but I didn't know it at the time that that's who he was.
Right.
And then later on, we become friends to high school and youth rodeos.
I got you.
Going, and then I spent a lot of time there at the Frost Ranch, and I mean, we would get up and I even had my own bedroom. Work, right till time to get ready to go to the rodeo, and then drive like a bat out of hell. And I was always in the bareback riding, so I was always kind of trying.
Can we
In a
hurry
hurry,
up?
you know?
Can we hurry up? I know y'all in the last
We
event,
get
but I'm
there.
in the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then see, there's a guy named Blake Lowenball that went with us. It was, I told people, I said, I guess Blake and I were like the Lane and Tough. Cody and Tough. Lane's younger.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to a lot of rodeos, but we'd always drive like a bat out of hell because we had to do all this work, chores. Because I mean, them frost people work.
Yeah.
I went down there one time and I didn't know what was going on in this company. different looking deal. They was picking up sticks out in the pasture roots and stuff, and they had towels around their over their heads, and like to do over in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Keep the sun off. And we picked up a lot of roots and stuff.
Wow.
I mean, just cleaning the place up. But I mean,
Yeah.
we've every time I was around Lane, we always had some kind of we was either working cattle or some kind of project, and it's like we had been working together forever.
Wow.
I don't know what and I do remember this. Unfortunately, I've been married and divorced twice, but both my children's mothers have been named Kelly, so two Kelly. So Kelly one and I was getting married, and Lane was the best man in my wedding.
Yeah.
We was having the rehearsal dinner the night before the wedding, and that's when Freckles passed away.
Wow.
But Lane, he wanted to be here, but he was pretty torn up about that.
I bet.
Well, what's special about it now is where their final resting place is about 20 foot apart. I mean, they're right there together still.
Yeah.
Freckles
they're
and
right
Lane.
there side by side almost. Well, do you remember where you was at the day that you got word that Lane passed?
We do, sure do.
Yeah.
My first Kelly, same one again. We had been we ended up in divorce, but we'd been having not such good days. But and I didn't enter Cheyenne, so I stayed home. And back to what I was going to say about my rodeo a while ago. After I finally quit chasing the NFR and started running my fencing and welding business and letting the rodeos come to me, that's when I started seeing more at a rodeo than I ever did. And that's when I started making money. Because I was working, and everything I'd win would be like money. And it took a lot of pressure off of me, because when you're out there rodeoing and you run out of money and you're trying to make the NFR, that's not a good thing.
No.
And
And it's hard to hit a buddy up and go, hey, can you float me till I get back on my feet again? Yeah. And everybody that has rodeoed in life up and down the road, especially professionally, has been in them, has had that moment.
Exactly. But that's whenever I started seeing more out of my rodeoing, was whenever I started staying home, running my welding business, and I still rodeoing, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Come home Sunday, and but a lot of them be here close to Texas, and I never bypassed Mesquite. That was always a good place to go for a truck payment.
You go down there and get a welfare check.
I was my state champion 1 year, but I was run up 2 other years. So, to get the refugee bunch, Bill Gages, I looked up to him like I would my own father.
Yeah.
Got to be around him.
I tell you, bareback riders that I remember from the Mesquite days, and I am certain you know who I'm talking about. You remember a guy by the name of Robbie Caro?
Yeah, we called him Crash.
Crash, yeah. He was always fun to watch because he'd get wiped smooth out through there. I'm pretty sure he got on his first bareback horse there ever.
Robbie, he was pretty famous.
Yeah, he was.
And,
from Mesquite.
He had a lot of fans. And, he was a very well known cowboy, and that's whenever Ty Murray was back in his heyday and all that.
Yeah.
Ty Murray is a hell of a cowboy.
Damn right.
And I would like to see. Well, that Stetson Wright is as good as I've ever seen him.
You ain't a kidding.
Ty Murray could beat you in 3, and but back then Robbie Caro might have been more famous than Ty Murray.
I agree.
That's where something.
But because of Mesquite Rodeo, because he was on every single week on TV. That's
And you know, I mean, that was the only thing that was on rodeo.
that's
I mean,
it
about
on
rodeo.
TNN, man.
You know, I had people that would contact me, you know, like send a letter or something that would come watch me ride from Alabama and stuff like that. I've had people that would bring me gifts and stuff. I got a belt and a guy made me that I still wear as a work. And he brought it to me at Mesquite. And you know, but you this was before the PBR and all that too.
Yeah.
Now, when the PBR come around, they took talent and made them superstars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that's what rodeo needed, that they could become like a household
Yeah.
name. They could follow them, and that was the thing about Mesquite.
It
They
was
could
out in
see a
front
lot
of
of
them, and yeah. And now you got social media and you know the
yeah.
Cowboy Channel, and you can go watch the 100 rodeos in 100 days, and all that stuff. It's just all at your fingertips now. And
Well, who's doing Mesquite now?
Stay Smith
Smith.
was,
Steve
wasn't
Smith
he?
had it.
But is he does a series still down there, I think, doesn't he?
I think Stay still has it. Still
Yeah.
does it
He
every
did
Saturday
a
night.
couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I know he did last year. I haven't
Yeah.
really followed it much this year.
Yeah.
But I got a question. I've been thinking about it the whole time we've been sitting here. You've been in the business your whole life. What have you seen from the beginning till now that is really pushing the sport to where we think it needs to be? There's a lot of changes over the years.
There's been a lot of changes, but I'm going to tell you something. Cowboy Channel, I think the best thing that's ever happened. Our Western heritage and rodeo industry. The breed, the born to buck breeding programs changed a lot too. I don't know about these bareback riders nowadays. There's some riding son of a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the bronc riders too. I mean, they're very talented, and you would think those riggings they ride with would be ideal for me. But I tried one of them right before I quit, and that was the worst yanking I had ever taken. And I was like, if I had to ride that thing one more horse, I probably would retire. I went back to the old 812 for Barstow's, but those riggings. And I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, Kirby Berry. He's got two boys. One of them's second in the world, and the other one is still on his permit actually, but he's a bareback riding dude. But he was telling me about how they set up the riggings and everything. Now you gotta have this elbow brace, all this stuff.
It's almost scientific now how they set them up.
Oh, it is. It's very scientific.
Huh.
So, I was going to help a young man up there in Minnesota work on his rigging. Well, he's got one of them new. I said, let me call Kirby and see if this is how we do it still or what. He like, they put an epoxy and fix all this stuff together. I mean, a lot more. I said, you know what? I think I'll just let you.
You just take it from here, buddy.
I'm gonna mess it up, but I mean the bucking horses have been amazing, and the bull, but it's gotten way above the talent.
Yeah, it has.
Basically flooded. But those horses that are everywhere now, you used to only find them up in Canada or in the north.
Them big feather-footed suckers.
Yeah. Now we got them here in Texas.
Yeah, we do. Yep, for sure.
Back in those days, it wasn't nothing to go a month, either in the bareback riding or bull riding, and not draw something that you could actually win.
Yeah, you might go a month. You might draw one 22-point bull or something inside 30 days. It may, and then again, you might get lucky and draw 2 or 3 of them in that month. And now, we had Byron Walker on earlier, and he was talking about how the draw was set and how the PRCA does it. We was talking about rocker and entering rodeos and stuff, and there's an art to that. Entering a rodeo, you got to know when the bull, when the best stock's going to be out, what what night that contractor puts the best animals out. So then that's the night you want to enter, and so you got the best chance of winning. And there's a lot more logistics to it than what people think. And was that still present back when you was rodeoing a lot, like when you began? And did you see that progress on as the years went on as you was riding?
Well, I don't really even know how the entry system works now, but back in those days, it was could enter up to 4 people.
Yeah, buddy system.
Buddy system, but you had to be in the same event.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know. I've had a lot of people ask me, well, why wasn't you in the 8-second movie? I'm like, well, that movie wasn't really about Lane's younger days, and I rode barebacks. When we both got into PRCA, we couldn't rodeo. And besides, he was going a lot harder than I was, and I was starting to do my work thing and let the rodeos come to me.
Yeah.
And but I forgot where I was. What was I talking about right before that?
How to enter the entering system.
The entering system.
Yeah, the entering deal. The entering deal. Now, I had my own crew, and I had a boy named Jim Richards. I don't know if y'all know him. South Texas. Jim was a shade tree mechanic, and he had to have took steroids. I ain't never seen nobody that day. He's a tough cat now, but he country boy, and he's a bareback. He could ride him. Had a guy named Chris Skaggs, who's really nice guy, and I mean a really good, pretty bareback rider. And we called him Big Tex, or John Brockway. If you had a definition of a Texan in the dictionary, well, his picture might be in there. So we first figured it out. If you enter as one yourself, you're probably not going to get your preference.
No.
And but it seemed to work better if you enter 2. Oh, you'd have a better chance of getting preference. One by getting traded, is what they call it. So we always tried to enter 4-man or 2. I never did like doing 3, because whenever we would enter 3, it's like, man, we're just pumping uphill, and you ain't getting nothing drawn, you ain't winning nothing, and then one year there, Lance Crump and I rodeo together.
Okay.
It was like I was drawing Sergeant Lance. That's the first time he went to the NFL. I mean, he was red hot, not good. But I was drawing the bad ones away from him. And you don't think too much about it, but I mean, that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
And but I don't know anymore how many, if they can.
I don't even know if they do a buddy system anymore. Like I said, I hadn't done a whole lot.
But I tell you what, I do like. I do like that tournament style.
Do you?
I would have liked that because I do, because see, like say Fort Worth, for instance, they get 80 bareback, 85 or times that even limit. But they basically got on the same amount of horses they did this time. I mean, like last year. So they'd have 2 go-arounds, then they'd have progressive rounds and a short round.
Yeah.
Well, in those first 2 rounds, you got to beat 79 guys instead of 7.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying, and it was, of course, the amount money's increased now and everything, but you got a better chance of winning something than going against that whole field. And
I was always better in the aggregate. I thought I was always better in the aggregate, and if in a tournament style, to beat your flight or flight A, you may have to be, you may be in there with a bunch of them big name tough guys, and they're 90, 91, 90, and 89, and they only take the top 3 out of that flight, and you're 88. Whereas in this other flight, they buck everybody off except for a couple guys, and they're 65 and 75. Them guys progress on, but my 88 didn't. I always liked that the aggregate because, if I was, because I look at this, I entered Fort Worth, and I was 56 one time with no re-ride, and then I was 66 on my next one, and didn't even make the progressive. But I had a chance. I rode both of them, and I had a better chance, I thought, of making that progressive round if it was on an aggregate instead of in the tournament style.
That got you beat, buddy.
Yeah.
First time I went to Denver, both of us getting everybody at the gate, throwing flags, the Bareback ride. I think you got to be Jesus, mark one out here. And but I got my first one marked out, and they called out 48 points. He circled right around the right, but he's kind of running in the circle, and no re-ride. Oh man, it's got to be a mistake. I thought I rode him pretty good, And I go in there and look at the sheet, sure enough, 48.
No re-ride.
And I kept thinking, you know what? I don't know if I'm ready. I don't know if I need to be here or not. And that was a long time ago, and I've come a long way since then. But that was a moment, with first big rodeo you get to go to, and you're like, I didn't do too well, but I thought I did well, but they didn't think I did well.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you my first pro rodeo was in Lawton, Oklahoma. I just turned 18, bought my PRCA permit, entered Lawton, go up to Lawton. I've got a bull called, I don't even think he had a name, 78 of Benny Butler's. And I remember him being a big crooked horn bull, Brennel. He come around the end of the gate, and he stuck his runner's old horn in the dirt and just piled me up over the out gate, just crashed me in there, and I got a re-ride. And they run in, I guess this bull come from Larry Caphart, because he always had the Roman numerals. He always branded with the Roman numerals on his bulls, and this was, his number was 101. And he was a little gray Bramery little thing. And, I mean, I took him half squatting and half laying down. I mean, he blew up right there and just licked him and got it on. And I think I was 82 points. And I thought I made a heck of a bull ride. I thought, shoot, I'm fixing to win this thing.
You did.
No, I did not. Terry Don West was hot that year, and he rode one, went about 5 or 6 jumps and turned back in the middle of the pen down there and was 84. Michael Gaffney was 85 on one, went down there and hit the clown barrel and then turned back. And I was like, well, I guess I'm a rookie. Here I am. But I filled my permit on my very first one, and then I never placed again. I probably went to, I don't know, probably 10 or 15 rodeos, and they only bucked me off like 4 or 5. I got a lot of day money checks, but that was kind of back when the PRCA and the PBR had their old pissing match and make sure you was, they if you was trying to do both, the PBR guys would get put up over a PBR event at a PRCA deal, and they'd kind of make you choose. And I didn't like to travel a whole lot, so I went to PBR way.
So before we run out of time, I got a question for both of you.
Uh-oh.
Back when you was riding, was there, nowadays I feel like there's like a lot of more athletes and not cowboys that can ride horses, doctor, and you see these guys that's dressed up like skateboarders almost with their outfits, their shorts and their slides. And do you see that now? Was that the guys that competed back then, did they wear that kind of stuff, or they always looked the cowboy way?
Well, that's something that I'm glad you brought that up. We need to keep our Western heritage image alive the best we can. And I mean, a lot of people don't really consider this, but whenever they go to a rodeo or say a bull riding, those arenas there, that is a competition venue for cowboys or cowgirls.
Yeah.
The people that buy the tickets, they come to see cowboys and cowgirls.
Absolutely.
So that's what we in our industry, we need to be cowboy and cowgirl as much as we can in and out of the arena.
Yeah.
And we don't need to be trashing the arena up, by wearing short sleeve shirts and ball caps and stuff like that. I mean, you want to go to the jackpot, then go to the jackpot. But when you go to the rodeo, see, I got a short sleeve shirt on right here. If I'm going to a rodeo, then I'm not, I'm not working. I'm just gonna watch.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I think I'll just wear my short sleeve shirt. Well, I don't even go nowhere near the arena gate or the back fence or anything, because I know that I'm not in official dress.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I see it.
Yeah.
And nobody else does. But we all need to get this mentality that, hey, we need to beat cowboys.
Yeah, cowboys, cowgirls, absolutely.
Because they may be running up and down the highway right now, and everything might be working great, but it can get jerked up underneath real fast.
Yeah.
And
doesn't matter what you wear on the road, but when you get to the arena, you need to be, if they're selling tickets there to come see cowboys and cowgirls in a rodeo or a bull riding, be the part. Get in dress. Be the part.
That's right.
And Brandon, I think you've seen some of that too. As you're
bad. It's bad. You'll get there and you'll be, fix to go to the hot song, and here comes 3 bareback riders, and I ain't picking on them, but 3 bareback riders or bull riders come through, got a ball cap on backwards and short breeches and a tank top, got on some flip flops,
Yeah.
Got that little hacky sack they're kicking around.
Oh yeah, kicking the hacky
around.
sack, coming around. I mean, that's what I was telling Blake. We was talking about this morning. When I get to a rodeo, I'll go up there and set up sound equipment stuff and a T-shirt and ball cap, pair of jeans. But as soon as I'm done, when I go back to that camper trailer, my horse trailer, whatever, when I come back out, somebody might see me. So when I come back out, I'm starched and ironed. My stuff goes to cleaners. I got my cowboy hat on, and I look that part because you never know who's looking there, who's going to be there. Those little kids, we're trying to instill that in those kids, that Western way of life, and keep that alive and show them what we're about. And so I tried it, hour and a half, 2 hours for the perf. You'll see me starched and ironed and ready to roll.
That's one thing I always hear in the youth side when we go places is Brandon Wren always looks professional. His dress, the way he acts, his whole deal about him, he's professional. And parents, I hear that a lot, and they really like that.
But I don't make myself do that. I was raised like Wes. I was
Right.
raised in that lane
Right.
of when we talked to him with me the other day, I was a city slicker.
Right.
But
right.
when I come over and started running with them guys and going to them bull ridings, the very first bull ride I went to, that guy told me, here we go. We're going, it was a Smitty's Western Wear in downtown Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And we're going to go buy a hat. We're going to go buy a long sleeve shirt, some Wrangler jeans, and some boots. Or you're not going.
Right.
This was a practice pen. The first thing I went to in my life was a practice pen. But that man, Larry Reynolds, told me, you're going to look this part if you're going to be the – I wasn't the part. Right. I was a city flat folk. I come straight out of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, wearing my penny loafer shoes. You know what I mean? I was a city guy. But when I went to that rodeo with him, you'd have never known I was from the city. Right. To this day, until I said it the other day, people didn't know I wasn't raised in rodeo or raised in the Western way of life.
Right.
Because once I become that part, I stayed that part.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just like me this summer. I mean, I'm wearing haydos and shorts, T-shirts. I got my cowboy hat on. That's how I roll in the summer. But whenever I get to the rodeo, I'm in jeans, long sleeve shirt at least Iron for the performance.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it too. What people don't really realize, whenever they come into a town, they're bringing money into that
into the economy.
Whether that's paying your announcers, what you get paid to announce, or that's added money to the rodeo or whatever, and it makes it look better towards the rodeo committees. And they'll come back, and if they see that and they see all the hats and everything in town and around town and in businesses around there, them committees will see that because they see the cowboy hat. They see the Western attire come to town when the rodeo's in town. Right. And they can see the economy boost up, and that makes that gets them to dig in their pockets a little deeper to put on a bigger and better rodeo next year just to make it better.
Because you're helping your local sponsors out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I tell you what, there ain't nothing no better than a straw hat to keep the sun off of you when you're out in the heat anyway.
Yeah.
it keep the sun rays off of you better than a ball cap.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I play a lot of golf, and I tell you what, I wear a ball cap, and I can tell you right now, the tops of my ears are sunburnt and peeling like a sunny gun. And I know why
Mine
they
gets
make
that burnt
cowboy
red.
hats now, and that's to shade the tops of my dadgum ears because them things are red. And not just red because my wife's mad at me or giving me a tongue lashing either. It's just because it's sunburned.
I know what you're talking about. I mean, my earlobes get burnt real bad. See, back whenever Dad was alive, we baled hay during the week and rodeo on the week. And he baled a lot of hay on the halves. We'd have to bale all day and then all night. And then, Thursday, Wednesday, us and tail, you got to go to the rodeo. That's when you feel like you got a break, but you're still working.
Yeah.
I got burnt out on hay. At a young
I think every kid in the United States now, from the ages 10 to 18, they need to go cut hay and bale hay and haul hay, especially square hay.
Square
Yep,
bells.
square
They
bells.
need to They need to go load square bells. That needs to be their summer job or their GoFundMe or something.
Boy.
Because I promise you right now, that'll change the way the world's going right now.
I'll tell you what, every rodeo can test it ought to do before they start rodeoing. They ought to go to a contractor, go with him one week, help him get ready, go to the rodeo. That will change a lot of attitudes right there.
Oh yeah.
Because
It's not just show up
I
and
see a
buck
lot
some
of
horses.
Yeah, there's
it takes a lot to get to a rodeo. Sometimes, especially, like I was working for an outfit up there in Minnesota this summer. 5 semi over.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, a lot of people don't
No.
realize what it takes to put on a rodeo, the behind the scenes, the work. Just because a rodeo does not start on Friday at 8 o'clock or whenever it starts. It starts weeks before that in preparation and entries and getting your stock there and making sure the trailers have got lights and their tires are aired up and
Tubs
and the
And the
sponsors in order and
Communication with the committees and arenas you're
Yes.
going to, and I mean it's a
Yep.
never-ending story.
Yep. That phone never stops ringing, and it goes into a lot. And for Ward Rodeo Company and
Very
Wes
stressful.
to be around
75 years.
75 years and raise
Impressive.
and JC raised 12 kids, and never worked for nobody but himself. Man,
That's
crazy.
I'm gonna tell you right now that is an achievement that I don't know that'll be topped. Somebody's gonna have to come prove it to me because I don't know that that's gonna be beat. And a hell of a bareback rider and a kick-ass rodeo announcer has come from that, and hard work creates a lot of things.
Well, it's just hard work and just being dedicated.
Mm-hmm.
There's years there where Dad didn't do no good in the rodeo, but he just kept staying in there, staying, and it finally, a year or two later, better years to come, and you just got to be able to have that no quit attitude.
Yep.
Well, there's something else to be said
It's
too.
not
is
to outwit, it's to outlast.
But it's something else to be said too. You wouldn't be doing this if you didn't love it.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
you've
right.
got to love it, and we joke about it a lot. If you want to make $1 million in rodeo, you need to start with $2 million, because you're going to lose the first million, But it's out of the love of the sport, and we talk a lot of controversy on this show. We talk a lot of PBR controversy and shoot everything down and talk a lot about the negative stuff. But if it wasn't because our love of the sport, if we wasn't trying to make it better or bring to light some of these issues, we wouldn't do it. If we didn't care about it, we wouldn't even talk about it. It wouldn't even be worth my time. I've got better things to be doing other than this. But I love the sport of rodeo. I love bull riding. I love everything about it. And man, I'm dedicated, and I'll always be that way.
Because you started as a true blue fan first. You're still a fan.
Yep.
No
I
matter
sure
what you
am.
do in your career, you still got to be a fan.
Absolutely. And Wes,
I
I commend
I
you
don't,
on
I don't
one.
know what else to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been around rodeos all my life, and that's all I've ever done is work rodeo.
Well, you got to fence
Yeah,
it.
my
Look
work
at
is
it this way. look at it this way: you got a fencing company. Where did you learn how to build fence?
Well, whenever
Your dad's rodeo company, bulls and
All the bulls,
getting out,
all the bulls on the neighbors.
Busting through fence. That's exactly how you learn how to build fence. It was out of necessity, and you did that because you loved the sport, and it turned into a job. And you say, you know, it times went by fast and everything, and hard times and everything. Well, it doesn't seem like it's been hard times or what, because when you love your job and you're dedicated to it, it doesn't feel like a job.
Amen. That's you know, a lot of people don't get to do what they want to do. I feel very blessed. I mean, I've had nice homes and families and this and that.
Several wives. All named Kelly.
But I mean, I'm at home when I'm at a rodeo.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's kind of a lot of people don't ever get to see this or experience this because they're already gone. The next day after the rodeo's over and everybody's gone, it's kind of well, it's a lot different.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause there's a lot of life and everything in that arena, and everybody's gone. The life is gone. You know.
Yeah.
It's a lonely 4 days to the next one.
Yeah. Hey, the road goes.
It is.
What is it? The party never. The road
The
goes
road goes
over.
on
The party
forever.
never ends.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like having weeks off. You know, some people say, well, yeah, I like having a break off. Well, this year, I actually had 4 weeks off in prime time rodeo season. That's a month off.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
No, it's not good for a man's pocketbook. It's not good for nothing. And then when you're sitting at home, you're wondering what you're doing because you're supposed to be, you know, yeah.
I want to be on the telephone a lot more.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
I
Wes,
know
we're going to
everybody
put you out there, and man, I appreciate you coming on. We'll get you back on. We're just kind of running out of time here, man. We'd talked earlier. I'm glad I got you on. Glad we got part of your story. I mean, I don't think we can ever get the whole story, but
Not 75 years worth.
yeah,
for
not
sure.
75 years worth. And Wes, man, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day, and getting on here with us. And shoot, we'll see you down the road, buddy.
Whenever you told me you was going to do this, I'm like, that's a great thing. Really. And I thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Brandon Wren, it's good to see you again, buddy.
Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you. Always looked up to you.
Well, hey guys, if y'all are in the rodeo market and y'all are putting on rodeos and y'all need an announcer, give a Wild Wes Ward a call. He's more than just a rodeo, I promise, and you'll enjoy him. He's professional in every way, and we're glad to have him. And hey, if you guys liked our show, you liked our episode, keep watching here at Pro Bull Talk. And until next time, go like us on all the Facebook channels and platforms and everything we've got out and all the major podcast platforms. Give us a listen, give us a like, and we'll see you next time.